You'll never make $10,000 a month until you understand this. This is Joey. He got straight A's at school and graduated from university top of his class. He had high hopes for the future and knew he had something special. His reward was a job that pays $5,473 per month, coupled with the constant stress over his student loans, the rising cost of living, and the fear of being replaced by AI. That's a real number based on an actual survey from over 70,000 bachelor's degree graduates. So if Joey worked this hard and still didn't manage to make $10,000 per month, surely it's impossible, right? Not at all. This is Kai. He got kicked out of school for being disruptive, and there was no way he was getting into university. Like Joey, he also had high hopes for the future, but without a path to follow, he started to think independently. His reward was an income of over $15,000 per month, coupled with no debt and the ability to travel the world whenever he wants. Not only this, but instead of fearing AI will replace him, he actually uses it to make more money. As I'm sure you've gathered, Joey represents the path most people are told to follow. However, Kai, he's a real person who earns 3 times more than people who are 10 times more qualified than him. And it's not just Kai. There are lots of examples of people just like him, earning way more than most people even think is possible. So what are these people doing that Joey isn't, and how can it even be fair? Well, while others were so focused on achieving good grades, going to university and getting a job, these guys were paying attention to where the world was actually going, and they all became something called a digital architect. This is the #1 way to make money online. It blows every other method out of the water. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying going to university is a bad thing. It's needed for a lot of jobs in society. And if making money isn't your main ambition, then be my guest. However, if you want to hit $10,000 a month and more importantly, have a life of freedom, adventure and wealth, then in this video, I'm going to show you how you can quickly and easily become a digital architect, just like these guys. Everyone's talking about looks maxing when they should be talking about talent maxing, because honestly, the worst advice anyone can give you is to improve your weaknesses. The school system has told you to do this for years. If you're bad at maths, they make you do extra lessons. If you don't like public speaking, they force you into it. And if you hate languages, then tough luck, as you'll have to spend hours trying to learn one anyway. They treat us all the same and disregard our natural talents. And you can actually see the effect of that. One study found that 98% of 5-year-olds scored at genius level for divergent thinking, which is basically the ability to come up with lots of original ideas. But by adulthood, that drops to just 2%. So it's not that people aren't talented, it's that it all gets trained out of them. Before you say, I don't have any natural talents, check this out. It's called the talent tree. And believe it or not, your talent is on here somewhere. That's because everyone, no matter your level of education, fits into at least one of these 4 main categories. So while I'm going through this with you, make sure to note down where you are on the tree, because once you know that, we'll know exactly what kind of digital architect you can become. The first type is the organizer. These are the people who bring structure to chaos. They're good at planning, systems, and keeping things running smoothly. The second type is the analyst. They're good at breaking things down, spotting patterns, and figuring out what actually works. The third type is the communicator. They're good at explaining things clearly, influencing others, and getting people to buy into something. The fourth type is the creative. They see things differently, connect dots others don't, and come up with new ways of doing things. So those are the 4 types of natural talents. Hopefully, you've got the area you identify most with written down. From now on, if you're serious about making $10,000 per month, then you need to make a promise to yourself that you're only going to work in the area where you have a clear advantage. I'm breaking this down in even more depth in the free virtual event I'm running very soon. Not just what your advantage is, but how you can go from where you are now to hitting $10,000 per month without needing startup capital or experience. So if you're serious about increasing your income, then make sure to sign up for that. I'll leave a link in the description. The fastest way to make $10,000 a month online is to sell a digital service, but you'll never get close to that amount of income unless you follow the 3 golden rules. Make a business more money, save a business time, or save a business money. That's why service maxing is all about finding a service that does one or more of those things and also plays into your natural talents. This is where most people get stuck, as they don't know what to actually do. So to make it easy for you, I've loaded this grid up with the top 5 online services you can offer right now. After I reveal each one, I'll let you know exactly what this service is, why it makes money, and most importantly, who's best suited based on talent type. By the way, all of these have the potential to make you over $10,000 per month, and they're in no particular order. For now, don't worry about how to do the service. They can all be learnt very quickly anyway. The important thing right now is understanding which one best suits you. So let's kick this off with brand identity. This one sounds complicated, but it's really not. It involves designing the look and feel of a business, from the logo and colors to the fonts, images, and overall style that makes it instantly recognizable. I've made my dislike of designer brands very clear over the years. However, they are the perfect example of how valuable good branding is. A lot of people say that designer items cost more because of the quality or the level of service, but that doesn't justify the majority of their huge price tags. That purely comes down to the perception of the brand itself. That's why a brand identity service is so valuable to businesses, as it can allow them to charge much higher prices for the same product or service, which ultimately makes a business more money. This type of online service is perfect for the creative, as it requires some out-of-the-box visual thinking. However, not just that, the organizer will do well here too, because of the timelines, the client feedback, and the deliverables are just as important as the design itself. Next up is AI automation. Now this one is massive right now, and it's only getting bigger. It involves building AI systems that automate repetitive tasks. Stuff like responding to customers, generating reports, scheduling, data entry, the admin tasks that someone in the business is currently doing manually every single day. Just think, every hour a business spends on a task that could be automated is money down the drain. So when you come in and fix it, you're not just saving them time, you're saving them money too, which means you're hitting 2 of our 3 rules at once. This one suits the analyst, because you need to look at a business and identify exactly where the inefficiencies are, but also the organizer, because building these systems requires quite a structured, logical approach. Next, deal making. This one might surprise you because it's not about a technical skill at all. It involves connecting businesses with opportunities. Think sponsorships, brand deals, and partnerships. You're essentially the person in the middle who makes things happen. Businesses will happily pay a finder's fee or a commission when you bring something valuable to the table, as this directly makes a business money. So who's best suited to take something like this on? Well, firstly, it has to be the communicator, without a doubt. If you're naturally persuasive, confident on calls, and good with people, this is your lane. But the organizer can play a big role too, because juggling multiple deals, follow-ups, and relationships is super important. All right, now for video editing. This isn't about sitting there cutting clips for fun. It involves editing video content that grows a business's audience and generates revenue. Think YouTube channels, ads, social media content, and sales videos. This is the kind of content that actually makes a difference, as businesses that show up consistently on video grow faster, sell more, and build trust quicker than those that don't. But most business owners have no idea how to edit and no time to learn. A good editor who understands what performs well is genuinely hard to find and can both save a business time and make them more money. The obvious person that's suited to this is the creative. You need a real eye for pacing, storytelling, and what looks good on screen. But the analyst is just as important here, because the best editors aren't just making things look pretty, they're studying what performs and why. And last but absolutely not least, funnel creation. This one is probably the most directly tied to money out of everything on this list. It involves building the online journey that turns a stranger into a paying customer. Think landing pages, email sequences, checkout flows, upsells, the whole shebang. A great funnel can double or triple what a business makes from the exact same amount of traffic. You're not getting them more exposure, you're making them more money from the leads they already have. The organizer will thrive here because a funnel is essentially a detailed system with a lot of moving parts that all need to work together. The same goes for the analyst, because the best funnels aren't built on gut feeling, they're built on data, testing, and understanding what makes people buy. I know this might just look like another list of different side hustles, but don't think of them like that. Think of them as vehicles that can get you to $10,000 a month. As a digital architect, your vehicle might look slightly different depending on where you're trying to go and what suits you best, but the destination stays the same. I mean, what if I told you the type of service you pick isn't actually that important? As long as it follows the 3 rules we talked about earlier and it leans into your natural strengths, you can get to at least $10,000 a month. Right now, the most important thing is just picking one and sticking with it, because in the next steps, I'm going to show you how to take any of these services and supercharge it as a digital architect. We'll be going over all of this in even more depth on the free live virtual event that I'm running soon. So make sure to click the link in the description to sign up for that if you haven't already. The biggest lie young people are told is that learning happens before earning. I mean, for the first 18 years of your life, you're forced to sit in a classroom for hours on end and learn stuff, but never actually apply it to the real world. The truth is, if you want to make $10,000 a month quickly, then you need to be learning and earning at the same time. This is the skill maxing loop, and I designed it for my son when he left school at 18. He wanted to become a videographer and video editor, but said he wasn't ready. For context, he'd been making little YouTube videos for a while, but didn't have any formal training. I told him to forget what school had taught him about learning and instead follow my method, as it would make him richer a lot faster. He actually listened to me for once, and thank God he did, as he now makes way more than $10,000 a month following the exact method I'm about to teach you. Don't worry if you don't want to be a videographer. It can be applied to any type of service. First, you need to define your service. In the last step, you already picked what you're going to do, but now you need to strip it back to its simplest, most usable form. Not the perfect version in your head. This is where people let themselves down. They take something simple and then overcomplicate it. They start adding extras, trying to perfect it, all because they don't feel ready. I can't tell you how many times I've been stopped in the streets by people saying, I want to be a billionaire. What should I do? And honestly, that's part of the problem. They're aiming so big that they don't even know where to start. There's nothing wrong with having big ambitions, but if all your focus is on the end goal, you never actually take the first step. So instead of thinking about $1 billion, focus on hitting $10,000 a month, because if you don't have something realistic to aim at right now, you'll just sit there overthinking it. So how can you actually define your service? Well, for my son, it wasn't become a professional videographer or build a creative agency. It was simple. Edit videos for businesses. So take your service and reduce it down to one clear thing that you can deliver. It'll make your life a whole lot easier. Second, you need to sell your service. Not learn more, not tweak your offer, not sit there getting better. Sell. This is where most people hesitate. They think they need more knowledge before they can charge. My son did the exact same thing. I told him to get out there and start selling his videography service to local businesses, but he said he didn't know enough to charge. I told him, trust me, son, there is no better teacher than the real world. So he went out there and started booking meetings with local businesses. And yeah, 99% of them said no. But that's the point, because eventually one said yes. A local caravan park. So accept you aren't perfect and get out there and start selling. Every rejection teaches you something. It's about getting in front of people and learning what actually lands. Thirdly, you need to deliver your service. This is where you actually get paid, and more importantly, where you actually get good, because it's all well and good practicing by yourself. However, until you have a paying client, you never really know what the most valuable things are to focus on. You also don't get real feedback, which is sometimes hard to hear. With my son, as soon as that caravan park said yes, everything changed. He couldn't hide behind I'm not ready anymore. He actually had to sit down, film the videos, meet expectations, and figure it all out as he went. And that's exactly what happened, because when there's money involved, you just operate differently. You pay more attention, you learn faster, and you fix mistakes quickly, because there's actual pressure involved. It's the same no matter what service you picked. If it's video editing, you're not just messing around with clips anymore, you're creating content that helps a business grow. If it's deal making, you're not just sending messages, you're trying to bring in real opportunities that make someone money. That's where the real skill is built. And this is what most people don't realize. Fourth, you need to fix your service. This step was always part of the process, even when I taught my son this years ago. But back then, it was a lot more manual. You had to rely on experience, feedback, and trial and error to figure out what was working and what wasn't. But now with AI, you can do it properly, because once you've delivered your service a few times, you'll start to see patterns, what's getting results, what's not, and more importantly, where the bottlenecks are. This isn't about automating everything yet. It's about improving the way your service actually gets done. If you're editing videos and it's taking you hours to do something repetitive, that's a bottleneck. If you're doing deal making and spending ages researching or writing messages, that's also a bottleneck. Using AI to remove those bottlenecks will make you far more efficient and therefore more money in the long run. Lastly, you need to systemize your service. Up until now, everything's been a bit scrappy, and that's exactly how it should be. You've been moving fast and figuring things out. But if you stay like that, deadlines get missed, messages get lost, payments get delayed. And that's the reason most people never get repeat work. Because the thing that actually makes you stand out isn't talent, it's reliability. I mean, the people I've paid the most money to aren't always the best. They're the ones who deliver on time and communicate clearly. One of the best platforms helping you with this is Odoo, because it's an all-in-one business management software that provides you with a range of applications to simplify the day-to-day management of your business, including invoicing, accounting, project management, website creation, and more. I remember when my son was asked to send his first invoice. He had no idea what he was doing, so I showed him what my invoices looked like, and he had to manually make his own. However, it's much easier now with Odoo's invoicing app. It makes it super simple to add your customer, your services, and their price and quantities. You can then select your invoice due date and payment terms, which can be emailed to the customer, allowing them to pay directly through Odoo's customer portal. Odoo will then track if it's been paid or not, which saves you from doing it manually. From my experience, late payers are very common in the online service space, so it's very important to keep your discussions, emails, and notes in one place through this feature called the chatter, so you can quickly see who you need to follow up with. I used to do this manually, and all the time I was wasting could have just gone into making more money. As I was planning on talking about them anyway, I reached out to Odoo to see if they wanted to sponsor this portion of the video. They agreed and are also giving you your first application free for life with unlimited support and hosting. So that means you can start using the invoicing app for free. I'll drop a link in the description. You might be wondering why this is a loop, and it's simple. Because you don't just go through this once and you're done. Every time you complete these 5 steps, you end up in a better position than where you were when you started. You've got more skill, more experience, better results, and a clearer understanding of what actually works. So when you go back to define, you're not starting from scratch, you're refining. When you sell again, you're more confident, your pitch is better, and more people say yes. When you deliver, the quality is higher. When you fix, you're removing bigger bottlenecks. And when you systemize, everything runs smoother. Then it repeats. And each time you go round the loop, your service becomes more valuable, which is what pushes you towards $10,000 a month and beyond. Believe it or not, you can do the same service as someone else to the exact same standard and earn 10 times more. That shouldn't make sense, as you'd think you get paid based on how good you are, but you don't. You get paid based on how you position your value. This is where things start to step up a level, because once you've been around the skill maxing loop a few times, you're no longer just someone who does a service. You understand outcomes, you understand businesses, and you understand what actually makes money. That's when positioning becomes super powerful. Let me show you what I mean. On the left side is how a freelancer positions themselves. On the right is how a digital architect does it. Let's start with brand identity. A freelancer says, I design logos, which is simple and easy to understand, but it also sounds cheap. You're competing with thousands of other people, and the only thing that separates you is price. That's why a digital architect doesn't sell a logo. They say, I increase perceived value so businesses can charge more and attract better customers. See how this involves the exact same amount of work but offers dramatically more value. Now, instead of seeing you as a cost, you're now an investment. Now let's look at AI automation. A freelancer says, I can build AI chatbots. Again, nothing wrong with that, but you're just selling a feature. A digital architect says, I remove manual work and reduce costs by automating bottlenecks. Now you're not just building something, you're saving them time and money every single month. And lastly, funnel creation. A freelancer says, I build landing pages. But a digital architect says, I turn existing traffic into paying customers. Now you're directly tied to revenue, which again is the same skill and the same output, but with completely different positioning. The key is to stop talking about what you do and start talking about what it does for them. That's how you use position maxing to go from charging a few hundred to a few thousand for the exact same service. A lot of people aren't going to like this one, but most of you will never get past 10K a month. Not because you're not working hard enough or the opportunity isn't there, but because getting to 10K per month is one challenge. Making 20K, 50K, or 100K plus per month is a completely different one. I know these numbers might feel miles away at the moment, but if you don't understand this now, then you'll hit that 10K level and plateau. That's where brand maxing comes in. This is the process of building a personal brand so strong and visible that people instantly see you as an authority in your space. One of the most powerful examples of this is Casey Neistat. He sold his company to CNN for a reported $25 million, but the business itself wasn't the real asset. There was no clear plan for what CNN were even going to do with it. What they were really buying was his personal brand. That was back in 2016, and since then, this has only become more important because now, more than ever, your personal brand is what makes you more valuable than everyone else offering the same thing. So how can you easily do this without trying to build a YouTube channel with millions of subscribers? Well, the most simple thing you can do right now is clean up your social media profiles. Make it very obvious who you are, what you do, and why you're the best at it. Most people are doing the opposite. They put no time into their profile. Instead, just focus on cold messaging hundreds of people. That's why they just get ignored. I'm willing to bet you've got a ton of unanswered messages just like this in your requests. But when someone lands on your profile and it instantly shows what you do and how you do it, you're no longer just another message. And when you combine that with actually understanding who you're messaging and how to approach them properly, that's how you break past 10K a month and scale beyond it. If you want to discover the 5 levels to getting rich, then I'm going to leave that video right up there, but don't click on it just yet. Make sure to subscribe if you want to grow your wealth, okay? I'll see you over there.